So you found the tracker, that little black box jammed into your OBD-II port, or zip tied behind the glove box. You pulled it out, you felt like a genius, and you drove off thinking nobody's watching anymore. You're wrong. Your Japanese car has a second tracker, and this one didn't come from some shady finance guy at the dealership. It came from the factory. It's been there since before the car even had plates. And it's logging your braking, your speed, your location, every single drive, then packaging that data and potentially selling it straight to insurance companies who would love a reason to raise your premium. Two trackers, two totally different problems. Let's start with the one you already know about. That box you pulled out? It's an aftermarket GPS unit. Companies like Icon Technologies, Pastime, similar brands, plug it directly into your OBD-II port, the same port your mechanic uses to read engine codes. Why is it there? Two reasons, and neither one is about you. Before the car sells, dealers use it for lot management, basically keeping tabs on inventory, so nothing wanders off in the middle of the night. After the car sells, especially on subprime loans, it becomes repo insurance. If you stop paying, they know exactly where to send the tow truck. But here's the part that should make you mad. Dealers mark this hardware up $500-600 on your bill for a device that costs them next to nothing. You're not paying for security. You're paying their profit margin, dressed up as a fee. So where do you look? Start under the dash at the OBD port. Check for a piggyback setup, where the factory connector looks completely normal, but there is a second harness splitting off before it, feeding a hidden box tucked somewhere out of sight. And the OBD port is not the only spot. Check zip ties near the battery. Check for an add a fuse tapped into your fuse box, pulling power from a circuit that has nothing to do with it. Check behind the glove box, too. These boxes do not need much room, and installers are not exactly trying to win design awards. Now, legally, dealers are supposed to disclose this, especially on subprime financing. Plenty do not. And that silence is exactly what creates liability for them, because once you find an undisclosed tracker, you have a paper trail problem on their end, not yours. One quick warning before you go yanking wires. If your loan agreement specifically requires GPS as a condition of financing, ripping it out could trigger a call from your lender. Check your paperwork first. Read the actual contract, not just what the finance guy told you while you were signing 12 other forms. That is the tracker you can unplug in 5 minutes, sitting in a parking lot with nothing but your hands. The second one is not so simple. But first, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Now here's the deal. Every major Japanese brand has this built in right now. Toyota and Lexus call it Connected Services. Honda calls it Honda Link. Nissan calls it Nissan Connect. Subaru calls it Starlink. Mazda's got Mazda Connected Services. Mitsubishi runs My Mitsubishi Connect. Different names, same basic guts. This isn't a box someone bolted on after the fact. It's called a data communication module, and it's wired straight into the CAN bus, the same network that talks to your engine, your brakes, your airbags. It's got its own modem, its own GPS antenna, usually tucked behind the dash or up near the roof. The factory put it there on the assembly line before the car ever touched a lot. And it tracks more than just where you parked last night. We're talking acceleration patterns, braking force, steering input, speed over time. Toyota's own materials admit driving behavior gets logged as part of this system. Not just the car was at this address, how hard you hit the brakes at that intersection, how fast you took that on-ramp. Now, to be fair, there is a real upside here, and I'm not going to pretend there is not. Emergency SOS calls, stolen vehicle recovery, remote start from your phone when it is 9 degrees outside. That stuff works, and for a lot of owners, it is genuinely useful. Call it the 20% that earns its keep. But here is where it gets uncomfortable. That same data pipe, the one sending an SOS signal when you crash, is the exact same pipe feeding usage-based insurance programs. Your braking habits are not just sitting in a server somewhere doing nothing. They can become a pricing input for your premium. And you did not sign up for that at a dealership with a sales rep watching you initial each page. You signed up the moment you tapped accept on a connected services agreement. You probably skimmed for 4 seconds. There's a legal wrinkle that makes this worse. Courts have started ruling that built-in telematics modules don't count as tracking devices under certain state tracking statutes. Why? Because they are considered part of the vehicle itself, not something attached to it after the fact. One federal court already sided with this argument in a case involving a data broker and built-in vehicle modules. That is not a technicality. That is a loophole working directly against you, because the laws written to stop secret tracking were written around little black boxes plugged into ports, not around modules soldered into the dash at the factory. Compare that to the dealer tracker. You can crouch down in a parking lot, find the box, unplug it, and drive off in 5 minutes. The factory module does not work that way. It is wired into systems that also run real safety features, so killing it is not a quick yank and go. You are not removing an accessory. You are touching the same nervous system that handles your emergency call after a crash. So, the dealer box is an annoyance you can solve with your hands. The factory module is a decision you have to make on purpose. Here is the actual move for both of them. Start with the dealer tracker, since that one's mechanical. Locate the OBD-II port under your dash. Trace any harness that splits before it reaches the factory connector. That's your tell. Follow that wire to wherever the hidden box landed, usually zip-tied somewhere close by, and unplug it. Then double-check the battery terminals and behind the glove box too, because installers don't always use the same hiding spot twice. The factory telematics module is a different kind of job, and honestly, a different kind of decision. For most owners, the move is logging into your brand's connected services portal or just calling customer support and asking them to turn off data sharing or cancel the subscription outright. That kills the remote transmission. The hardware stays in the car, but it stops talking. No wires, no tools, no risk of breaking something that also controls your brakes. If you're more hands-on and you want the nuclear option, you can pull the TCU fuse. Some owners do this, but flag the trade-off before you touch it because it's a real one, not a free win. Pull that fuse and you lose SOS calling. You lose stolen vehicle recovery. You lose remote start. You're trading convenience and a safety net for silence. And only you can decide if that trade is worth it for how you use the car. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about deciding who gets paid with your data and who doesn't, because right now, the answer is happening without you in the room. And here's the gut check. If a company wants your driving data badly enough to bury the terms on page 9 of an agreement nobody reads, that tells you everything about how much they think that data is worth. They're not hiding it because it's worthless. 2 trackers, one you unplug, one you opt out of through the brand's own portal. Go check your glove box, check your OBD port, then open your car's app right now and find that data sharing toggle. Drop a comment with which one you found first. Subscribe to Japanese Motor Vault for more valuable money-saving information.